Hi friends, and welcome to the new YouTube channel. To kick this channel off, we're going to dive headfirst into a video series called Doodle Duels. These Doodle Duels will be a friendly challenge between myself and my girlfriend, known as the Blue Majestic Owl, or just Owl for short. We'll each get the same prompt from a huge list of prompts that we made, and get the same allotted amount of time to sketch those prompts out. For the prompts, we took the last few years of the Inktober prompts and randomized them to choose our prompt. If you're not sure what Inktober is, then it's essentially a month-long drawing activity that takes place throughout the month of October. It's a lot of fun to see what people come up with, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see what we come up with when we get our prompt and we get into this and start sketching it out. So without wasting too much time, let's see what our prompt is and let it guide us during our first Doodle Duel. Okay, it's time to pick our Doodle Duel prompt. We have, I believe, 186 options. You can kind of see them right here. I'm just going kind of quickly. Owl, what are you looking to get here?
Underwater.
Underwater, and why do you want to get?
I want some moon jellies.
She wants moon jellies. Okay, well, let's see what we get. This will be officially the first Doodle Duel prompt. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Poison. Poison. I think we were talking about poison before the recording, so this is very interesting. Poison, what do you think about that? You don't have to tell me what you're drawing, because...
And I can't tell you what I'm thinking.
Well, how do you feel about it?
Easy.
Easy? Okay. I think that's a good starting prompt. I'm glad we got this prompt. Prompt 127. We will be scratching that out for the next prompt, and yeah, this should be interesting. Let's get into the drawing. And here we go. So, our first Doodle Duel. This is me sketching, getting started, laying out the framework of what I imagine to be poison. So this one I actually pretty much set the scene pretty early, in my head at least. I had a good idea of what I wanted to accomplish. And you can see here, like, I'm trying to draw a hand, and I really struggled at first. And you can see that awkward angle at the top portion of it, which was not actually meant to be like, you know, the actual wrist. It was just meant to help me kind of frame it. And that's exactly what I did. I ended up erasing it soon, I think. Yeah, there it is. So, and the hand isn't perfect, and I know the owl has some comments on my hand. What do you think about it?
You got some wonky fingers.
It's a wonky finger. It's really only
fingers.
Fingers? Which ones?
I tried mimicking the hand motion. I couldn't mimic.
It does look weird. The spacing of the two inner fingers, the one next to the pinky and then the middle finger.
Yeah.
Are you trying to mimic it and hurt yourself?
Yes.
But then here we go. We're finally getting to the theme. I'm drawing a poison pot. It's spilling, and I tried like drawing some smoke or like something coming off of it. And I'm like, you know, that's not gonna come out right at all. So I erased it pretty quickly. And then I started working on the nightstand, which, you know, there's not much to say about the nightstand. I guess the way I'm going about it is kind of interesting. I'm trying to measure off how I want it to fit onto the page. What do you think of my kind of like all the elements of the drawing, other than like the bottom of the lamps coming up, being like only mostly or in a like it's like a portion of the, there's only a portion of the arm on the page, right? And there's a portion of the nightstand on the page, but they're not in their entirety. They kind of just fade off to the page. You know what I'm saying?
If people could see me, they could see the look I'm giving you, because I'm very confused on what you're asking.
It kind of just fades off to the page. See the nightstand?
Yes.
And it doesn't like have hard edges on the right side. It just fades away.
Yeah.
Do you like that, or do you not like that?
Right now, it just looks like it's a memory of what someone did.
It's meant to be illuminated by this lamp, which I struggled with this nightshade. I had to draw it a few times, get the angles right. Oh, and something to note for both or all Doodle Duels. I was gonna say for both of our drawings, but well, we're under a strict time limit here. We have 1 hour to draw this, so please excuse some of the details as they're not going to be perfect. There's times I messed up 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, that's all the chances I got. I'm gonna go with what I got.
And someone broke that time limit.
Only by 7 minutes. I went over an hour. I went to 1 hour and 7 minutes, so just over. So not too bad. It's not a strict time limit, even though I said it was strict. It's meant to restrain us in a way, such that we're not drawing for hours on end. And here I am just doing some bolding with the lines, making them pop, stand out.
Classic IKEA drawers.
Classic IKEA drawers. I think you described them as cute before.
They're cute. You got the classic little grab and knock.
Yeah,
but
and that's
drawer.
exactly what I intended, and that's how you see them, so I'm going to call that a win. We're about to get to the part where you're going to have a problem, I think. There it is.
It physically pains me.
I like the shading I did on the nightstand. Kind of gives it a sense of, like, depth.
Wood. No.
Not wood, but...
You're right, IKEA's mainly not wood.
Do you know what you're talking about with IKEA? I don't think you do.
I'm afraid to get lost in IKEA.
I like how it is. The first time I ever tried something like that, giving it weight on like something that's like compressible, I guess, like the mattress, and yeah,
those harsh lines,
the harsh shading. I like how the arms has weight on the mattress, and here I am about to finish up. So we want to do a couple things with these drawings, and the first thing we want to do is break it down, score different categories. So the categories we're going to be looking at for all of our Doodle Duels are line quality, volumes, perspective, color, shading, anatomy, composition, story, and feeling. And then composition is kind of like a few of those things put together, but we're kind of separating composition as like how things are laid out on the page. And then story, the feeling you get, the mood being set by the image, and anatomy is self-explanatory, shading is just self-explanatory, color is not applicable in these drawings since we're using pencil only, graphite pencil.
And just because I wanted to roast you more, price.
Well, what we mean by price is like essentially how much is this artwork worth? So how
much we're willing to pay.
Yeah, if this was going at auction, how much would you throw up? Do we have $100, $200, $300? And I think you guys would be really surprised with this one. What the owl's willing to pay? Oh man, it's gonna be spicy. You can only imagine. I'm expecting in the billions, but we'll see. So Owl, we have a scale 1 through 10, and then we'll go over that as well. So a 10 being I can't see how this could be any better than it is. It's just about perfect in your eyes. 9 being holy cow, this is almost perfect. Almost. But maybe just one minor tweak and you're out of 10. 8, we're at incredible. You can sell this masterpiece. That price really comes into play. You're actually going to make a good buck on this one. 7, wow, that's amazing. But don't sell it. 6, slightly above average, you did really good. 5, average, you did just fine. 4, slightly below average, you did kind of bad. Now we're getting to the rude ones. 3, unsatisfactory. Is this a joke? 2,
boo!
I want my money back. And 1, did you use your left hand? So that's how we'll be ranking these, and we're using a pretty harsh judgment here. We're basing off of like how we'll be in the future.
Relationship out the window. Who are you?
Yeah, essentially making us really critiquing us and having big expectations of ourselves. So 10 actually being like, wow, this is really good. Not just like, oh, this is good for where you're at, but actually, objectively, this is good. With that all laid out on the table, let's finally get into this critiquing. Owl, now you really get to see some of those details, such as the harsh shading.
This man wasn't killed by poison. He was killed by that sharp edge.
The sharp edge of the line work there. The shading's a little sloppy, all over the place, but it was, my thought process was, I'm under time constraint, the line work is more important, the shading isn't, but clearly that's backfiring. Owl, let's start with line quality. What do you think of the line quality? Line quality being how neat are the individual lines, how is the lines done, that sort of thing. Usually in sketching, line quality, but sometimes being able to get that really fine, clean line work is an impressive skill. I don't think either of us are going to score very high here, but what would you give me?
As I look at this, I'm stuck between a 2 and a 3.
2 and a 3. What's your final judgment?
I could either have my money back. This is a joke. I give you a 3.
Which gives me a 3. Unsatisfactory. Is this a joke? My line quality is a joke. Volumes. Volumes kind of being just like, we talked about the individual lines, volumes being the shapes and the figures within the drawing in terms of their volume. It's kind of hard to explain. I guess the best example of this may be the nightshade, might be the nightstand. Just 3-dimensional objects essentially, and how they're drawn. Think of it that way.
I still don't think I understand, but I'm going to give it a 3.
Okay, I'm getting a 3, which is
unsatisfactory.
Is this a joke?
Looking more like a clown to me.
Next, perspective. So perspective, a little more intuitive. It pretty much what you're looking at and the angle you're looking at it, and making sure everything kind of is within the same perspective, unless you're going with a more abstract feel. If you were in this room looking at this scene, how accurately did I draw that?
I'm giving you a 2.
A 2.
Because I'm trying to figure out where I'm standing and how I'm looking at the bed and the nightstand.
In relationship to each other?
Yep.
I see that. There was meant to be more to establish that perspective, but again, it was under that time constraint, so couldn't necessarily get it done. Next is not perspective, color, which is not applicable.
1.
More like a 0. Shading. How would you score my shading?
Left hand doesn't even begin to cover it. I'm gonna give you a 1 just because the shading, it pains me. You started off great with that floor. Look at that floor.
Floor's pretty nice.
It's a 10 out of 10. That's a 10 floor right there. In my humble eyes. But the rest is a 1, man. Did you use your left hand?
Unfortunately, I did not. Duly noted, I'll try to improve my shading next time. Anatomy. So I have an arm. So anatomy is applicable. How good is the arm? Accurate is not necessarily what we're looking for, unless you think that's the intent on the drawing. But how would you rank the arm and the hand, I guess?
Now, we know I tried to mimic that hand position.
Mm-hmm.
And with that said, I still give it a 4.
4, so that's my highest score. That is slightly below average.
Despite it hurting my hand, but the man's dead.
He's big dead.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
He's no longer in pain. So he gets a 4.
Sweet. That is slightly below average. I did kind of bad.
His wrist does look a little broken the more I look at it. Or maybe a little dislocated, and I say that from experience. Well, it's meant to be
bent because it's kind of draping over the side of the bed. If anything, it looks more stiff than it should.
Maybe I shouldn't do this, but...
She's like dangling her arm. But let's move on. You gave me a 4. Cool. Composition, which is probably the more difficult for you to score. I think you had a hard time understanding composition. But how
just as volumes. Did not understand.
This one, it's like how's everything laid out on the page? Like, do you think it's things are cramped? Are they spread out? poorly? Are your eyes all over the place? Is there a nice flow to the drawing? That sort of thing.
I look down and I look up. My eyes immediately go to the corner and the bed. Just this awkward piece right here.
So the corner of the nightstand between the hand and the poison.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I give it a 3.
A 3. Okay. Unsatisfactory.
Because my eyes are confused.
Kind of a joke. And then finally, our last score. Story, feeling, mood.
Ominous.
Ominous? I can't say it. It's like...
Words are hard.
Regularly. I can't say that. It's an impossible word. I don't know who decided to put those letters together. But, story and feeling. The feeling you get, what kind of, is it establishing a mood? Is it
spooky? It's
spooky. The prompt is poison, so that
murderous.
Murderous, okay. You think I'm accomplishing by setting?
Oh.
Like, am I establishing a story? Am I establishing a feeling of the drawing?
This man,
and how well am I doing it?
He either wronged somebody or wronged himself.
Yeah, he either murdered or self-murdered. Or was murdered or self-murdered.
Or was accidentally murdered. They got the wrong man.
Maybe.
Or arm.
But what would you score me?
6.
Okay, that's pretty good. 6 is slightly above average. I did pretty good.
Pat on the back.
Good pat on the back. So that's my overall ranking. On the screen, you'll see the total average score.
I didn't give you a price. This man doesn't want to hear what he's gonna.
So what worth. So what would you price this at? Now, I know. I have big hopes here. Big hopes. I think it's a pretty penny.
I hope you're not looking for a fancy dinner. Cause you're getting $3.
$3.
You can get a nice McChicken.
I worked at $3 per hour. Before taxes.
Because of the lines. The lines are a little harsh. Yeah, you lost a couple dollars there. The pillow is really what sold it for me.
Lose the kids. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the owl's drawing and see what her process is like. Let's get into it. All right. Now we get to see the owl's process. Okay, starting off with some layout work. Clean. Looks like a bottle. Maybe poison?
Maybe.
I think you're doing pretty well with the bottle.
Never drawn a bottle before. Wasn't sure how to go about it. I figured that's what bottles look like on paper.
And there's some plants growing out of it.
Those aren't plants.
They look like plants. That's literally a leaf coming over the stem.
It's just some thick smoke.
Thick smoke. Oh. What's going on here? Oh.
How else do you make potions? And poison?
In a factory.
Excuse me?
I mean, I'm probably correct.
Not the old-fashioned way. Who knows?
Sorry, Boomer.
Who knows what's even in there? Gotta make
them... a nice skull. I guess that's the bowl and/or cauldron.
Cauldron.
Skull has a little crack on it.
Yeah. I gave it character.
There's some clean line. Oh, never mind.
Bam.
That one line's clean. Top of the cauldron's a little rough, a little uneven.
Poison does that to a cauldron.
What is that? Is that a book?
It was meant to be a stack of books.
It's not a stack of books. That's a singular book. That's not stacked.
Anymore. Because I couldn't draw it. But what better than a singular
also,
book?
Wasn't the bottle just floating? I assume the line you drew was a table, but maybe it was just a construction line?
Most of these lines are construction lines until they don't get erased.
Okay. It's like you have something going on between the bottle and the cauldron. What's going on there?
Magic. From cauldron to bottle. It self bottles itself.
It self bottles. Okay. Sounds like a factory. It sounds like this should be an episode of how it's made.
You make the potion. It goes from a smoky form into a liquid form, but according to you, these are plants, but they're not plants.
Okay, so you just did something really interesting. Yeah, you did the shading. I understand why you criticize my shading so hard. I liked your shading there on the cauldron, the sides of the cauldron. You like used your finger.
Mm-hmm. Because I don't have my special glove I wear.
Mm-hmm. And
I didn't think of using a paper towel.
So, what is that? Where'd you get that technique from? Coloring? Right?
School.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was also my way of getting around the no coloring rule, which is why you criticize this next piece.
It looks like you had this gap between the bottle and the cauldron, so it looks like you decided to fill it.
It was a little empty.
It was a little empty, and I agree. And it looks like a candle. Candle just, if you look at the bottom left of the actual candle wax, it's just dripping.
Mm-hmm.
But it stops. Kind of weird.
Candles be weird like that.
Kind of just ends. Are you done? No,
No,
I'm done.
Nowhere near done.
Oh.
I think.
Looks like you have a lot. I like the words in the book. You have a nice title. You can see like the scribbles inside the book. I like that. I don't like the book overall. I think it was very poorly done. It's way out of perspective with itself and its surroundings.
It was meant to be a stack of books,
Looks like
like
it's
a
in the middle
solid
of
3 to
falling.
4 books.
It's in the middle of falling. And
Don't you ever just set it down on a book like that?
no, not really.
Just me?
But
You
no,
don't like
but
to
like
make a little tent?
it's not flat on the table.
It's not meant to be flat. It's kind of just like you put
No,
it
that's
there
not-
and
that's-
it's holding his own
I
place.
get that. I get that it's like making a 2P shape.
This guy
I'm
doesn't
saying it's
read.
literally like from one side of the bottom portion of the book to the top portion of the book. It's like in the middle of falling. But anyway, that's enough about the darn book. The cat. What's going on
Don't
there?
talk to me about that cat. I hate that cat. He was meant to be part with the cauldron because, you know, all cauldrons need a cat. Cats belong with witches.
Mm-hmm.
He's just been around one too many poisons, maybe licked a few. Now he looks a little, I don't know what the word is, alien, spooky, weird. Those eyes haunt me to this day.
So I just want to point out a couple things to finish up here. One, the title of your bottle, Liquid Death. I thought that was pretty cool. There's apparently canned water that we encountered recently that was also called Liquid Death, so I assume that's the inspiration behind that.
Named directly after it because I just thought it was cool.
And it's fitting. It's fitting, and you applied the same shading technique. So, with all that in mind, I'm going to critique your drawing using the same categories, same scale that the owl critiqued my sketch.
Will he be as harsh or will he be more loving?
We shall see.
Probably neither.
So, line quality, let's start there.
You started to say they were good,
They're,
and then you retracted your statement.
some of them are good. I think your bottle is rough, but okay.
I was
I
told
think-
no rulers.
You could use tools. We both use tools to some degree, but the idea is not to rely on the tools. Use them as a quick, like, get a straight edge, whatever you need to do, but don't like draw everything that way. Like as most freehand as possible, essentially. But line work, bottle, okay, that's good. Cauldron, I think the sides are done very well. The bottom's a little wobbly, and the top is bad. The candle overall is bad in terms of line quality. Book is bad. Skulls are fine. Cat,
We don't talk about the cat.
we don't talk about the cat. So overall, I'm just gonna say 3. Unsatisfactory. Is this a joke?
The cat's joke.
I didn't come here for a comedy show, but here I am. Volumes. You have a couple volumes here. You have like a three-dimensional space to some degree, the bottle, the candle, and the cauldron and the book. Not terrible, not great. I think I'll just stick with the 3. Unsatisfactory, still laughing at this joke.
Hope you're enjoying the comedy show.
Perspective, you maintained perspective on your bottle, your candle, your cauldron, kind of looking top down at an angle. You see that? Then your book. It's completely out of perspective with everything else, in my opinion. Something about it is off, and I'm going to critique and judge that, and it just feels weird. Even the 3 other elements are good, but not perfect. I'm going to give you a 2. I'm going to boo. I'm not just laughing anymore. I want my money back.
Now that I look at the book, technically the title's upside down. Is it?
Yeah.
It made sense when I did it because I'm right-handed.
Oh my god, I just realized that. It's either that's just the back of the book and it's writing on the back of the book, or if it's meant to be the title,
it was meant to be the title.
It better be a manga.
I guess it is.
I think manga read that direction.
Yeah, I think they are.
All right. Wow, you lose extra perspective points. But I'll keep 2.
I'm right-handed, so it made sense. Because otherwise, you would literally have to give me a 1. Did you do this with your left hand?
Color is not applicable for this round of Doodle Duels.
The shading wasn't meant to be shading, it was meant to be coloring.
Well,
I thought I was being slick about it.
Okay. Moving on to shading, I think it's done pretty well where it's used. You used it on the bottle, the cauldron, a bit on the candle, the book, some of the skulls. Done very well. In terms of like shading to reflect a light source, and I know you tried considering a light source because on the right side of the cauldron you have that weird line, and we discussed it privately, and you said that's meant to be like shining. It's meant to like be shining a bit.
Yeah, like that like glare you get, but then like
No, I get it. I hate it still. I don't like it.
I know.
And because of that, I'm going to score you less for that. But everything else is done really well. And like there's no shading under the book, even though it looks like it's falling. And even in like the TP opening section, there's no like drop shades or drop shadows. And there's no shadows anywhere else. I think using the candle as a light source would have been elite.
But the candle got snuffed
By the magic
of the potion, turning from smoke to liquid.
I just think it was a missed opportunity. I think it would have popped.
I also can't draw a flame.
You just draw a nice cartoony flame.
I think we have enough with the cat already.
Alright, but overall I think I'm going to give your shading a 4 because of how well, where the shading does happen, it's done very well.
The technique to it.
Yeah, slightly below average. You did kind of bad overall, but the elements that are done well are done very well. Anatomy, I am going to score you on anatomy, even though you didn't apply it too much, especially not as much as myself with the art, which has its own anatomy to it.
If we can call him a cat.
So combining those 2 elements together, cartoony skulls, fine, they're good. They're missing the lower jaw, but that's intentional. I think that's, that's your vision. I'm not going to judge you against that. They're not all consistent, but again, they're cartoony. And nothing too bad there. The cat, though, I could be wrong. I'm not staring at cat faces all day. But like, do the whiskers come directly off the nose? I don't think so. I think it's more of the cheek.
So I looked at our cats at home, looked them dead in their faces. Their whiskers come out of their face, like their cheeks,
Yeah,
what you would
that's what I
call
thought.
cat cheeks.
Not the nose.
Not the nose.
'Cause now it just looks like nose hairs.
Like I said, he's been around one too many potions. Maybe gotten a few. What happens?
Yeah.
Don't drink poison or potions.
Also, his eyes are very dark. Why didn't you even like cat eyes?
I couldn't remember what cat eyes were.
You could use a reference. References aren't allowed.
Yeah, but I had 3, maybe 2 minutes left.
Oh, gotcha. It was kind of a tacked on feature. He looks stacked on, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're gonna lose points for the cat.
Before he was just a head.
But I do like that you tried to fill the page. I think that's an underrated thing to do. Like use the skulls in the bottom left and right to fill those voids. And I think that's done well.
They're meant to be ingredients.
However, I think once I get to the next category, I'm going to explain in my opinion, how things can be done better. But overall, anatomy, 3 is fine. Cat done poorly, skulls are fine. Slightly, or no, not slightly below average. Unsatisfactory. Is this a joke?
Looks like you're still at a comedy show then.
Yeah, I've been laughing a lot, man. Composition is the next category. It's okay.
It's there.
It's there. I think everything is shifted way too high on the page. You see like your magic creeping up into like the spiral bound.
I thought that would be fun.
I get the intent, but you can accomplish the same thing by shifting everything down an inch or two on the paper, and like you wouldn't have a huge void in the bottom. It would just fill the page. Everything, like the top of the page looks cramped, and the bottom of the page looks empty. So I think that's bad, like judgment there. The candle was tacked on, I think. Was it part of the original plan?
It was meant to give a spookier element, cause like
I like the candle in general.
I don't know. I was thinking like like those 3-armed candle lights, but a single candle and no candle arm.
The one issue I have with your composition is when I look at this, I don't think of the poison. I think of the candle. It feels like the centerpiece for some reason, with things going on around it.
If you were to count those spirals, I think the candle's actually in the middle.
What spirals?
The binding of the book.
Oh, well, yeah, you can eyeball it. It's in the middle of the drawing, so I'm gonna give a composition of 3. Unsatisfactory. It's just a joke. Let's move on to story, feeling, and mood. I think it's a fun, whimsical take on the prompt poison. Mine was not
whimsical.
Not whimsical. Mine was more dreadful.
Ominous.
Ominous.
We'll get them next time.
Regularly. Words. I think it's fun. You had the whole book, and there's a cat getting into the potion kind of thing. There's an element to it, so I'm gonna give it a 5. I think you did fine with it. That's an average.
No one's been poisoned yet. Maybe the cat.
Yeah, it's being brewed. And I think you should explain the plant coming out of the potion one more time.
A bland.
So explain that one more time, because I think we blew over that before.
It's the potion going from smoke, liquid to smoke to liquid. Yeah, you could just pour it in, but where's the spooky magical element in just pouring in your potions?
I like that idea a lot. And I think that was extremely ambitious to come from like two different state of matter changes, like transitions, and trying to draw that. Props to you for trying.
In my head, it looked differently. Like this whole thing looked different in my head. My hand couldn't accomplish that.
So so you didn't put on paper what you thought.
Yes and no. It only started with 2 elements, and then we somehow got here.
Okay. Well, overall, I think it's pretty good. We have our scores. I gave you a 5 for the story and feeling. So I think you did pretty fine. Pretty good.
Now the true question that people want to know: how much would you pay for this masterpiece?
Well, for the reasons stated, I'm looking at this in the store at the auction. I'm like, why is the drawing shifted so far up on the page? Why is the cauldron glowing on the one side? I don't like that. Why is the candle non-existent at the bottom? Why is the book there? Wait, is that cradle backwards? For all of these reasons, the price drops in my head from $10 billion to a solid, actually not solid, measly $5. I think I would pay $5 for this.
Together we have a solid full meal with fries and a drink.
Yeah, we have a solid sandwich, large combo meal.
Hope you're not that hungry.
We could stretch out those fries for the week. But that wraps that up. Yeah, so good job. I think we did pretty good for our very first Doodle Duel.
Just don't ask me to draw a cat again.
That's up to you, my friend. It's up to you.
Maybe we'll try a dog next time.
Alright, so my average score ended up being 31.4%. The owl scored a 32.9%. She gave me a $3 price tag. I gave her a $5 price tag. Seems like she ended up beating me this round in the very first Doodle Duel. But I'm also really curious what you guys think, if you prefer mine or hers, or just generally have any comments, feel free to let us know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching.